Okay, for our next section of this line is the quadriceps muscle, and it starts from that subpatellar tendon below the knee and works its way up along all of these quadriceps muscles, particularly the rectus femoris muscle that runs across the top of the thigh here. Since I'm going to do this with my elbow, I'll just put a little lotion on to make sure I don't skitter and skate up Susan's leg. And I'm not going to start right above the kneecap. I'm going to go an inch or two above the kneecap. And you can see that my hand is relaxed, and I am just going to let my weight sink a little bit. This is a lot easier to get in deeper with my elbow and with my body weight. And I'm just going to sink in a little bit, and I'm going to ask her to bring her knee up and down. And again, I remind you that the movement of the client really helps you know where you are and really helps the client know where you are and where he or she is. So just keep that knee coming up. That's beautiful, and down. And I am, again, lifting this tissue up because of the tendency of the front line to fall down. We're lifting it up. And you can see where I'm headed here is right up to the ASIS, the anterior superior iliac spine. And there I will generally stop. But if you find that the tone of the vastus medialis and the vastus lateralis aren't balanced, in other words, the outer part of the quadriceps is more toned than the inner part, you can, by changing the angle of your elbow, much like bowing on a violin, you just turn the bow on the violin so that it gets a different string, and we can come up like this. Is this okay, Susan?
That's fine.
That's not too deep for you?
No.
All right, and I noticed that I had my hand all tensed up here, so that was, I'll just relax it. The more relaxed I am, the more I can feel in my client. If I'm working out of tension, I can't feel anything going on in the client's body. But as it is, this is the speed at which Susan's tissue is melting. So this is the speed that I will keep. One more thing up here before we leave off this technique. If you come right up to the top, there is the ASIS on the front of the hip bone. So the tensor fasciolata is coming right down here, and the sartorius is coming right down here. If I want to get to the top of the rectus femoris, there's a pocket right in between those two, and I'm going to sink down into that pocket a little bit. And now I'm going to invite a different movement from Susan. You all right with this?
Yes, that's fine.
It's okay? Okay. So just take your heel and stretch it right over the end of the table. Elongate your leg. You feel that? Yeah, got that tensus right in there. Okay. So I'm going to stay here, and you're going to move your leg. You get to control how much sensation there is by how much you extend your leg.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to move from right here. Got it? There you go. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, and just get that attachment to move on out. That's lovely. So I'm doing nothing, or almost nothing. I am just resting in this little pocket between tensor fasciolata and sartorius, right there at the top of her thigh, where the rectus is. And this often gets so tight, and it really is, you'll find it, there's a little pocket right in there. And all she has to do is elongate her leg out the back. So I just tell her to send her heel out over the end of the table, and that gets this tissue to open right in here. Great. So let's have Sunshine do the same thing. Although you can't, yeah, a little lotion helps. Although you can't see Sunshine's leg, I'm going to have her put her back leg well back so that she, even though she's sitting on the table, she still has support from behind her body. And yep, do you feel the Notice that you can change how that feels for her with how you rotate the arm. You can make it softer or a little more sharpish by how you rotate the lower arm. And what's the motion that she's going to use? Have her lift her knee and drop her knee. There you go. Just an inch. Not a big lift. Just even thinking about lifting your knee is enough to mobilize those muscles. That's great. So how's that, Susan? Is that?
I think that's a little bit more pressure than you were using, Tom.
Okay.
Is that too much pressure?
Lighten up, you big bully. Yeah. Keep going right at that speed, because that's the speed at which she's melting. Do you feel that?
Yes.
It's happening right ahead of your arm. It's not even right under your arm. It's right ahead of where your arm is. That's great. That's great. Okay. Susan, as you lift your knee, keep this part of your back on the table. So you don't go into a lordotic curve. You don't go into a sway back as you lift your knee. Keep your back nice and flat as she comes up to the top of this. That's it. So you're elongating the back of your hip to lift your knee. Yep. I would love for you, while you're doing this, to have your other hand somewhere on her body, rather than out in the middle of the air. I don't know what it does, but it's something about completing a circuit. The shiatsu people call it the mother hand. Yeah, that's the idea. Okay,
How's that pressure?
now, you see how you're tightening up your belly to get that up there? You stay right, just go really slow right where you are. So when you, go ahead, do it again, so that the folks at home can see how the belly muscles are tightening, yeah? So instead of doing that, elongate the back of your hip. You were doing it when we got closer up to the hip. There you go. Nope. Starting again to work with the belly muscles. Lift the knee and leave the back down. There you go. Better. Because we don't want her to shorten everything up to do this action. We'd like her to elongate into the action, which is sometimes not easy when somebody has an elbow in front of your thigh.